Very good question. And this is the suspect's vehicle that ended up ramming itself into the church. After this, you guys, they said the suspect entered the church to continue its rampage and the shooting. And then after that, they ended up going to a different area into the church, and they had an ammo bag. So according to live scanners, as the police ended up showing up over there, there was explosions happening because of live ammunition. So that could have started the fire. But they also indicated at the press conference they do believe that the suspect himself ended up starting the fire. So that's as much info as we have. They just had the press conference. There's going to be a later press conference as well. But yes, this is the suspect's vehicle, and let me know your thoughts and your comments over here judging that right there. But I mean, at the same time, it's too early to judge you guys. That right there could also be a little false flag in the sense of, like, maybe, you know, the suspect decided, you know, I'm going to look patriotic and I'm going to do it this way. But let me know your thoughts and your comments over this way.
A church in Michigan was attacked this morning. Let's talk about that. This footage is the Church of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. This is the type of attack that I've been talking about for several weeks now. This happened about 2 hours ago, so the information space concerning this event is very dynamic. I've seen what seems to be blatant misinformation coming from both sides. This picture is floating around of a truck with American flags in the back of it parked up against the wall of the sanctuary. It does appear to be the same church, but it does not match the description of the people on the ground. It's too early to know exactly what happened here, but I've seen a lot of stories of people on the ground saying that somebody drove through the front doors of the church, exited the vehicle, and started opening fire. We'll see what matches up or if there were multiple vehicles involved. What we do know is the church was set on fire and somebody opened fire with a weapon. This is the exact MO that we've been talking about, a vehicle ramming attack with an incendiary or IED to cause mass casualties and then small arms engagements of other victims and first responders. Churches, you need to be paying attention to how this attack played out and what could have been done better as more information comes to light. We need to be aware of vehicle threats, explosions, fires, secondary attackers outside the facility. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to be as easy as a bunch of dudes running into the sanctuary yelling Allahu Akbar, giving everybody time, and then opening fire. These attacks are going to be quick and they might not necessarily include things that you can fight with a concealed carry. If somebody seems to have set fire to a structure, you need to be very, very aware of what is outside that structure while you are leaving. If somebody is outside with a rifle pointed at the doors, you need to know that. Your church needs multiple evacuation routes. You need to have a plan for going out and making sure that the scene is safe for people to evacuate out of the building. You need to have fire suppression stuff inside of your facility so you can help keep people safe. I'll have more takeaways and advice on this as the news develops tonight and tomorrow, but until then, be blessed and be safe.
Okay, as I strive for accuracy, I waited until enough information was out to make any kind of video on this. I'm of course talking about the shooting that happened in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Because you know that immediately everybody in the MAGA is going to scream that this was some kind of Antifa terrorist, right? When most of us who know the history know exactly what kind of person it was most likely to be. Because before we knew anything concrete about the shooter, they released a picture of his truck that he plowed into the wall of the Mormon church, which was a truck with 2 gigantic flags sticking out of it. And the only people who ostentatiously display a bunch of flags on their truck in their house are right-wingers. But again, I'm here to just display the facts. The suspect, who was taken down by police shortly after they arrived, was Thomas Jacob Sanford. They describe him as a family man with a wife and kids, and they made sure to mention that his voting information says no known political party affiliation. So remember that going forward as you see all of these MAGA making videos claiming that he's a card-carrying Democrat or something. As of the 5 o'clock press conference, which only lasted a couple minutes, the sheriff said they still don't know the motive of the attack. They searched the guy's house in Burton, which I guess is a town close to Grand Blanc, but they didn't release any other information on him or even if he was a member of that church that he attacked. And at the most recent update by the authorities, 10 people were shot, 2 of them died. Now those are the facts we have at the moment. Everything that I just said is a verifiable fact. He was not a Democrat, he was not even listed as MAGA. He was listed as an unaffiliated voter. However, I'm going to add in my opinion right here. This right here that follows is opinion. I can't help the fact that a few weeks ago, when CK was unalived by Tyler Robinson, of course they all claimed that Tyler Robinson was some kind of hardcore leftist when we found out that he was a conservative, from a conservative MAGA family. But one of the key things is that he was a Mormon. And I even stated before that the whole point of Tyler Robinson being a conservative means that the conservatives are actually fighting each other. And I have this inkling in the back of my head, which of course at this moment is opinion, it is not confirmed, is that it could be possible that this guy blamed the Mormons for Kirk's death, and so he took it out on them. I mean, I hope that's not the case because that would incite some kind of religious war, but they are going to offer another press conference tonight at 8 o'clock, and I'll bring further information on this tomorrow.
Major update regarding the shooting that occurred this morning in Grand Blanc, Michigan. at a church. It was a Mormon church, and it appears the shooter rammed his truck into the church, and it had multiple American flags mounted to it, as there was a memorial service being held for the church's president, who died a day earlier at the age of 101 years old. So the church was full of people when this perpetrator rammed his truck through the front door and then got out and began shooting people using an assault rifle. And then he proceeded to set the church on fire. And there were many people, they believe, that got stuck in the church when it was on fire. So police believe that the amount of casualties are going to increase. Right now, there are 2 dead that are victims. A third was the gunman who died in a shootout with police. And there are at least 8 others injured, some of which are children, unfortunately. Now, they have identified the shooter. His name is Thomas Jacob Sanford, and he appears to be an Iraq war veteran. And we don't know much more about him at this point or what his motive is. They are investigating that. But the problem is they have now found a suspicious device at the scene, and the bomb squad is now there inspecting this device to make sure the area is safe, so people and authorities cannot go in yet to try and rescue anyone that's still in there until the scene is cleared from this suspicious object. Guys, this is truly something out of a nightmare. My thoughts and prayers go out to everyone impacted and affected by this, and we got to stop gun violence in this country. We got to get mental health figured out and help those who are struggling with issues with their mental health. We have to do something. We can't just sit back any longer and keep watching these things happen. There was a shooting last night in North Carolina, another one in Louisiana. I mean, it's daily. It's going to become hourly if we don't stop this here soon. Let me know what you guys think should be done about this, if you think anything should be done. And what is the solution? We need to start coming up with ideas and figuring this out. It has to stop. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow and subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Compare and contrast. Compare and contrast. Not even 7 days ago, we had a pew-pewer in Texas at the ICE facility. And before we knew anything, like literally, the pew-pewing had just happened. We have Kash Patel's FBI releasing evidence right away without knowing anything. We didn't know the shooter's name, what he looked like, if he had any kind of party affiliation, but they did show the evidence of the casings that pointed to a leftist being the unaliver. Now we have the Mormon church pew-pewing in Michigan, where the truck drove into the church and then burned the church down. And it's hours later, and we don't know anything about the pew-pewer. But there's one piece of key evidence that's been there the whole time. Why hasn't Kash Patel and the FBI and the local police showed this evidence, since they did show the casings, the bullet casings? Hold on a minute. That's from the Telegraph, a foreign, very reputable news body. Tale of 2 mass pew-pews and the narratives being painted. But I do want to tell you, there was a 3rd mass pew-pew, and I just created this a couple of hours ago. And it was from another right-wing white man who targeted the LGBTQ when he shot up a bar, unalived 3 people, and injured many, many more. If I get the time this week and they list the names of all of these victims in North Carolina and Michigan, as well as those that were unalived, and I can determine if they were Republican voters, I want to stress this to Trump supporters. You are being gaslit into danger with this administration that does not care about you, because these mass shooters, which by the numbers overwhelmingly are being incited to commit violence by the right, are putting you at risk and putting your children who go to school at risk. Because these unalivers don't look for Democrats to shoot up. They just lash out with the rage that has been manufactured in them by the man you guys voted for. And if anybody's watching this on a different platform other than TikTok, wondering why the heck am I using all these code words? Well, that would be fascist bullet point number 4 of freedom of speech being taken away by social media platforms that have capitulated to this regime, this fascist regime. Yeah, we get banned for using actual, real words used by normal Americans to describe what we see right in front of us. We'll get banned. Yeah.
We have an update on the Mormon church shooting in Michigan. 1 dead, 9 wounded after a man jammed his pickup truck through the entryway of a Mormon church, started opening fire, and then, according to authorities, set fire to the church. Video showed that the church was engulfed in flames. I mean, horrific fire. At this point, the shooter, 40-year-old, they've not released his name, has been killed. They are still trying to find out a motive. Interesting photo of his vehicle. Here's a photo of the alleged shooter's pickup truck with 2 large American flags hanging off the back. Curious. Again, trying to figure out political motives, but also, and again, unlike some folks out there, I don't like to jump to conclusions, you've also got to consider the crazy factor. And people keep forgetting about Charlie Kirk shooting, all of these shootings. The attacks on Trump too. Remember, the one guy was a registered Republican. Actually, I think both of them were, but the one certainly was. It takes a certain level of crazy to do that. That means your motivations aren't just going to be politics. They're going to be crazy land. So we don't know, but that photo is certainly very interesting in terms of the way the politics could go, because lots of American flags hanging off of that truck. Very interesting.
I need my Second Amendment warriors to the front of the classroom, please. I've got a fellow owner that desperately needs y'all's advocacy, and I just knew y'all would want to hear about this since you're so passionate about defending the Second Amendment. This is Dr. Ian Roberts. Dr. Roberts spent most of his formative years growing up in Brooklyn. He's a former special education teacher of more than 20 years, and he is now a school superintendent in Des Moines, Iowa, where by all accounts, he is adored by students, parents, and teachers alike. He's a former Olympian athlete and has 2 master's degrees and a doctorate, all earned at American universities. In 2020, Dr. Roberts was deer hunting in Pennsylvania. He was legally licensed to carry a firearm, properly licensed for deer hunting, and is a trained commissioned military officer with a wealth of experience in firearms training and safety. In other words, Dr. Roberts is and was the good guy with a y'all are always talking about. While on the way out of the woods one day, during deer hunting season on state game lands, Dr. Roberts was approached by a game warden. Dr. Roberts had been hunting, so he obviously was still carrying his rifle. He also knew how a lot of white law enforcement officers like the game warden were likely to feel about a dark-skinned black man holding a loaded rifle near them. So out of an abundance of caution and to make sure that the game warden felt safe, Dr. Roberts chose to immediately put his rifle into his vehicle. As a result, Dr. Roberts was given a citation from the game warden for having a loaded weapon in his vehicle. He paid the small fine associated with the citation and he went on with his life. No harm, no foul, right? Well, not exactly. Because 5 years later, Dr. Roberts was arrested by ICE this past Friday. Their justification for this arrest was that single citation, along with a claim that Dr. Roberts had overstayed his student visa originally years and years ago. Given the fact that both the First Lady and the other First Lady also originally overstayed their student visas back in the day, but have yet to be arrested or detained, clearly overstaying one's student visa is no big deal as long as you go on to contribute to our society. So once again, that leaves us with only that single citation from 5 years ago, which makes arresting and detaining Dr. Roberts a direct attack on the Second Amendment. So I look forward to seeing all of your online and offline advocacy for the release of Dr. Roberts. That is, of course, unless there's some other reason why y'all don't consider Dr. Roberts one of your own. Something to ponder, I guess.
Hey, Donald, your dark past is going to surface whether you like it or not. And it's so obvious right now that this government shutdown that you want to take place so badly is actually the Jeffrey Epstein shutdown, because that discharge petition, which is about to have 218 signatures to force a vote as early as next week to release the Epstein files, you don't want that petition to be signed by the new Democratic Congresswoman-elect Adelita Gravalha. In fact, you've ordered MAGA Mike Johnson not to swear her in as a congresswoman, specifically because you don't want the Epstein files being released. In fact, you ordered MAGA Mike Johnson to shut down Congress on Monday and Tuesday, the 2 days before the shutdown is set to take place, 2 voting days where there should be discussion and an attempt to work out a deal to avoid a government shutdown. You ordered MAGA Mike to shut down the House of Representatives. Why? Because the discharge petition can be signed and the Epstein files could be released. That's what would take place Monday or Tuesday. So now Congresswoman-elect Adelita Gravalha from Arizona's 7th Congressional District is not getting sworn in, despite the fact that she beat her opponent in that congressional district race in that special election that took place this week by like 40 plus points. I want to show everybody what's really going on here as Donald Trump tries to cover up his dark past. But oh, Donald, the Democrats, and with the help of Republican Thomas Massie and some others, are not backing down. And on Friday, we got a 3rd batch of documents from the Epstein estate. And oof, you know whose names were listed? More Donald Trump friends like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and other oligarchs. Their name was mentioned in that 3rd batch. But first, I want to show you this. This is what has Donald Trump absolutely terrified. His name is Thomas Massie, Republican Congress member from Kentucky. He's working across party lines with our friend Democratic Congress member Ro Khanna to get this discharge petition to the 218 signatures needed to force a vote on the House floor to release the Epstein files, despite Donald Trump saying it is a hostile act by any Republican to now support the release of the Epstein files. Just think about that. A hostile act, and Donald Trump is willing to do the Jeffrey Epstein government shutdown, imperil our country because Donald Trump doesn't want the Epstein files being released. Here's what Thomas Massie...
Happy Trade War Day, everybody. Last night, Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada and China and Mexico went into effect. And today, they're retaliating. China and Canada have already announced what they're doing. President of Mexico says her announcement will come later today. And even before the president of Mexico announces what it is, this is what's happened as a result. Is making America great for y'all yet? But what might their retaliatory tariffs actually affect? Fresh produce, cars and car parts, and electronics, including phones and computers, are among the top goods the U.S. imports from Mexico, Canada, and China that will now face tariffs between 20 and 25%. If it costs more to bring the item here, guess who's going to pay for that? Not Canada, not China, not Mexico, you, the American consumer. Canada's our ally, our closest ally to the north. And these tariffs literally violate the trade agreement we have with Canada that was set up by Donald Trump during his last administration. He is violating his own trade agreement with Canada. And it's not just the stuff coming from Canada that's going to be tariffed and then we're going to pay more. It's also going to affect American companies who ship stuff to Canada, as you can hear from Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario.
I've directed the LCBO, we're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world, to remove every bit of U.S. alcohol off the shelves. I know my good friend, the governor of Kentucky, he's losing his mind right now. I said, you better talk to your president. Mitch McConnell, senior senator from Kentucky, they're losing their mind. We purchased over $1 billion of alcohol, 3,600 products, 35 states. It's going to hit them. Then we're going to cancel Starlinks right away from Elon Musk. Not that $100 million makes a difference for them, but it's principle. If they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cut off their energy, with a smile on my face. And I'm encouraging every other province to do the same. Quebec, Manitoba, BC, we all have to act in unison out east. They rely on our energy. They need to feel the pain.
We need to feel the pain at the grocery store, at the gas pump, on car lot.
Okay, day 250 coming to you early because honestly, I don't think that anything else could happen that is going to top what has already happened today. It is 1700 hours, 5 o'clock Texas time, and 9 a.m. Donald Trump is posting this. Look, peep the time. 9:19. It's Saturday. I ain't trying to get out of bed. 9:19. He posts this. At the request of Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, I am directing Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I am also authorizing full force if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay. Let's just go through this. First of all, Secretary of War. What? Also, Pete Hegseth called all the generals to meet with him. Imagine 4-star generals being lectured on warrior ethos by a Fox News host, alcoholic Fox News host. What? Okay. To provide necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland. What war? What are you talking about? War ravaged? We are talking about Portland, Oregon, right? Did I miss a war in Portland? And any of our ICE facilities under siege. What? From attack by Antifa. Let me make something clear. There is no organized group called Antifa. They just literally like to make this up. Antifa is not a there's no club, there's no group, there is nothing. There is absolutely nothing. There is no leader. It just doesn't make sense. Also, the mayor, governor, either one, I don't know. I think it was the governor. The governor was like, what are you talking about? He filmed some ICE agents. Some ICE facilities. There is nothing happening here. Also, do not come here. We didn't ask you to come here. We didn't invite you. There is nothing going on here. We didn't ask for you to come here. Okay? And then I am authorizing full force if necessary. I'm sorry, what? Full force as in what? Shooting American citizens in Portland, Oregon? What? This is some crazy nonsense. This whole post is outrageous. For the American president to get on at 9 o'clock in the morning and threaten American citizens with the full force of the military? That's crazy. That is insane. And if you don't think that's insane, then you are part of the problem, because this man is trying to say that there is a war going on in Portland, Oregon, and ICE facilities are being taken over. And I am going to give full authorization to use whatever you need to do, full force. we still have a long ways to go. That's all.
Good afternoon, friends. I just got back from coaching my girls' softball games, and I found out that there is a Mormon church in Grand Blanc in Michigan here, where there was a mass pew-pewing event, and then there is a fire on top of it. The whole place is on fire. They're not sure what set it on fire. They're saying one person is down or unalived, and there's multiple injuries, and then they said the suspect is down. So I don't know if the one person down is the suspect. Sheriff Swanson put out a message on Facebook, and I'm going to play it for you.
Sheriff Swanson working in conjunction with the federal, state, local authorities. I was asked by Grand Blanc Township, where the scene is active, to put this message out to the community that there is the more active threat. The shooter is down. We do have multiple victims. The entire church is on fire, and we're working with fire and all those things that happen during an active shooter training. This is a dynamic scene. So the time where we are right now, there's going to be more updates. Just know that there's a lot of things that are happening that we are not able to communicate just because of the work that needs to be done.
This is a brief flyover of the church right now. It's completely engulfed. And just for information, Sheriff Swanson is the sheriff who put down his helmet and his riot shield and marched with BLM during all of the protests that occurred years ago. And the jury's still out with me on him, but from what I saw, he's a fairly good guy. So he probably wouldn't be putting out inflammatory information, and he seems like somebody you could trust to get the information from.
Very serious situation here in the U.S. An active shooter opened fire in a Mormon church in Michigan this morning. He drove his car right into the church and then opened fire, seemingly targeting specific people. As many of you know, this is a regular occurrence in the United States. We have many, many shootings happening, and we don't have any type of meaningful gun reform. There is no reason at this point to not think that this is going to continue to happen in this country. And what many of us here in the US fail to recognize is that people all over the world don't live like this. They don't have regular access to guns, or they have exceedingly strict gun laws in place. Until we adopt some of these policies, we are going to continue to see things like this. And it's horrible. Thoughts and prayers are not enough.